Underserved news story throughout the region is all the fine woodworkers here in town. David Stine from David Stine Woodworking is here in studio. Good morning, David Stine.
Hey, good morning.
First, you're from St. Louis?
Very near here. I grew up on a dairy farm just across the river in Jersey County, not far from Grafton.
Sure. Okay,
Yep.
And you've been a woodworker for how long?
Pretty much my entire life.
You found you got the bug early and you've never left it.
Well, if you've ever milked cows, you'll know that woodworking is a lot better deal.
I have never milked a cow. I have walked beans, though. So
Well, hey, it's all of a piece there.
All right. So you are a finalist for the Martha Stewart American Made competition. Tell us about the competition.
Not a finalist yet.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
hoping to become a finalist, but
right.
There's a competition that's going on right now, and Martha Stewart is trying to promote American makers and people that actually do stuff with their hands in this country,
Right.
local, organic, sustainable, all that kind of stuff. And in the design category, I'm one of the leaders right now in the vote getting for that.
Is it open to the public and we have to go and vote on it? Is that how it
Yeah,
works?
if you go to the homepage of my website, it can take you to a link right to Martha Stewart's voting page, or you can go to marthastewart.com and do it.
What is your website?
It's stinewoodworking.com, and it's STINE Woodworking.
StineWoodworking.com, and we can just keep hitting it over and over again so you can
6
win.
times a day up until September 13th. So, vote early, vote often,
All
Chicago
right.
style.
Very good. Okay. Now, your style of woodworking,
Yeah.
and we're showing some pictures on the TV side. There's a picture of you with a chainsaw the size of a human being.
Yeah.
Talk about
The ladies model, you mean?
Yes, the ladies' model. Talk about your style of woodworking.
Well, I grew up on a farm in Illinois, as I said, about 1,000 acres, and about half of it's timber. And my whole life, my family was always about sustainability and, use what you need, but don't take too much and all that kind of stuff. So there's a big storm, or if a tree dies, we go out and harvest the tree and try to make something cool out of it. The whole time I was growing up, we built our own barns, fences, houses, furniture, whatever. Everything on the farm we pretty much did ourselves. So that's the way I really learned. I learned the whole way from managing the woods and sort of taking care of that resource right up through finishing furniture.
It's a very modern look you have to all your stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Some people see it as really rustic, but I'll tell you, my biggest markets are in New York and L.A., where it's like a loft, and you have this beautiful, huge slab of timber, and then it's maybe on a very subtle kind of maybe aluminum or steel base, and it just lets that piece of wood be what it wants to be.
You have a picture. We were looking at this. It's of a bed frame, or I guess a headboard.
Yeah.
Which you cut the wood long ways.
Yeah, it's just like a giant slab of crotch sycamore.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
that's been a really popular thing for me. And it's just, you just put that on the wall. You almost don't need to do anything else. You're done. All you can do is screw that up if you're a woodworker. I could torture that wood into any shape I want, and trust me, I've done it before. But if you just stand back and let it be what it wants to be, a lot of times I think you're a little bit further ahead.
Do you stain it as well, or do you have somebody else do all that for you, or
no.
finish it, or
I do everything
you
myself.
do everything?
Yeah, actually, in the last year, I got a couple guys who are doing apprentice work for me, which is actually. I'm like a real control freak. If you take it right from the woods right to somebody's house, you really don't want anyone else to touch it.
Right.
But, none of us are getting any younger, and some of that stuff that I work with is huge. So I've had a couple guys helping me now. So I'll do my hand is still on every piece almost all the time, but you have somebody running the sander for 8 hours a day,
right.
Chances are it's not going to be me anymore, which, I'm not going to apologize for.
All right. So David Stine is our guest. StineWoodworking.com is the website.
Yes, sir.
If you go there and you vote for you in the design competition, the Martha Stewart's going to pick how many finalists?
Well, there's going to be 6 finalists because there's 6 categories. There's design, craft, art. I think there's something in food or something like that. But anyway, there's 6 finalists there, and then there'll be a final voting period where America will vote for the single big fat winner.
Gotcha. Okay, so we need to vote 6 times a day, StineWoodworking.com. You mentioned you sell in New York.
Yeah.
So you have a gallery and you sell your furniture.
Well, I am in a number of galleries across the country, but my biggest sales deal is I do the Architectural Digest home show in New York City. It's on the piers. It's a big 4-day thing.
Huge.
Yeah. It's sponsored by Architectural Digest. I've been a featured exhibitor there for like the past 6 years. It's really, really great. And designers and the public and everybody just comes. And that's a really big one for me.
It's interesting because you live here, you play here.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to New York, and you're this world-class designer. And this show you talk about, people might not know. This is the show of shows. This is where every happening, if you're there, and you live and play here, and yet you're the coolest, hippest designer, and New York appreciates it, but St. Louis doesn't quite get it.
I'm going to tell you something you already know. All the coolest stuff in the world comes from the Midwest. And I say that when I'm in L.A., and I say that with New York, and people don't think it's a joke. People are like, yeah, it's real, it's American, you guys are still doing it out there.
Right.
And yet, you keep flying over, but hey, that's on you. But I agree with you. I used to know a guy here in St. Louis, Jack Randall, and he had the Randall Gallery down on 13th and Martin Luther King.
Yes.
And first of all, he said, never buy anything on 13th and Martin Luther King. I don't care what city in the world you're in. But anyway, so he said, I'll have a show of an artist in my place in St. Louis. People will come, they'll eat my cheese, they'll drink my wine, and they won't buy anything. Then they'll go see the same guy in Chicago, New York, L.A., wherever. They'll buy something and have it shipped home. I think we got to get over this identity crisis that we appear to have a little bit of around here.
Right.
Because I'm serious. Some of the best stuff in the world comes from right here. I mean, the Cardinals, we got tons of great businesses around here. Are you kidding me?
It is unbelievable. As a transplant, you come here and you're like, this place is utopia. And so many
the
great
quality of life and all the stuff you can do here.
Whether it's the Fox, whether it's the Muni, whether
Absolutely.
it's the artists, the painters, the woodworkers. It's a smorgasbord here.
Yeah, just this weekend, the St. Louis Art Fair is going to be in Clayton, and that's one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
Belleville Art Fair, right outside of town, it's
Right.
a huge one.
So somebody wants to get into woodworking. What do you tell them to do?
Well, I'm kind of self-taught, although I was around it my whole life, but I think you just kind of have to follow your passion. Woodworking is such a broad category. I mean, there's guys like me who take it from a log right to the finished product, and there's other guys who turn pens in their basement. We're both getting a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Right.
It just depends on what you're into. But I think you might want to watch some cool TV shows, maybe subscribe to Fine Woodworking or some other magazines like that, and just sort of get a feel for it. I don't know if they even do shop class anymore, but I loved shop class when I was a kid. My teacher hated me, but
Right. It's because you brought in a chainsaw the size of the teacher.
well, we spent a week learning how to measure, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm going to kill myself."
Well, you know what's interesting is that when I was in high school, shop was for the quote-unquote dumb kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I took a woodworking class. I liked it, but I was like, well, I don't know. I don't want to be branded as one of these kids who like shop.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get over it. And if it was sold as an art form,
Absolutely.
people would run in droves to it.
Well, and I mean, how about a great way to make a living? I mean, doing what you want, not having to work for anybody else.
Right.
I mean, it's great. I do what I want almost every day.
Yeah.
The only downside is if things go haywire, you got nobody to blame. So
There's also something, David Stine, about working with your hands, and that the American people, this is in our DNA.
Absolutely.
And yet we've shipped out everything. We don't do our laundry. We don't cook our food anymore.
Yeah.
We don't build our homes anymore.
How great is it at the end of the day to be tired? You feel tired, and you feel like you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
You've taken X, and you've put in your labor, and you've made it into Y, and it's something of value. You've added that value, and people get excited about it, and people pay you for it.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
I agree.
mean, I was in D.C. for 10 years, and I actually went to law school in D.C., and I worked as a lawyer for a year, and that was enough. It's pushing stuff from one side of the paper to the other side of the paper, and suit and tie every day, and it was not for this guy right here.
More importantly, how'd you get that beard? That is a great woodworking beard.
Well, I heard I was going to be on the show, so last night I didn't shave.
You didn't shave. I thought you spilled a bottle of Rogaine on your face. Or
No,
something.
my wife was like, you just don't do anything, and you end up looking like this.
David Stine, do you sell stuff out of your gallery here or your shop here?
I take appointments at my shop all the time. So
Okay.
people come over, we pick out a slab, talk about different kinds of furniture or whatever. I have a piece in the truck if you want to walk out after the show.
I don't have time now, but I will definitely make a point to stop by the website and then come
Awesome.
over sometime.
No, I hope you do.
StineWoodworking.com. That's the website, StineWoodworking.com. And the shop is where?
We're over in Dow, Illinois, so it's between Jerseyville and Grafton in Jersey County. It's a nice, beautiful drive over there, actually.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
StineWoodworking.com. Vote 6 times a day. He wants to be a finalist for the Martha Stewart American Made competition. I'm going to call Martha right after the show and
Awesome.
jerry rig the results.
Well, let's
for
get
you.
St. Louis. Let's keep St. Louis, number one in everyone's heart. Because it's a good deal.
David Stine, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much.
You got it. 8:30, traffic and weather in a moment. Big 550 KT.